Here are the questions before you, which first let us try to answer. So what are these questions? You understand. First one, personal consideration. What is personal consideration? Personal consideration means nothing but where the party himself, right? The party himself or the person himself has to perform. That is called as personal consideration. Example, where the party himself or the person himself has to perform. Example, if you talk about, like we said, marriage, then maybe painting, right? Maybe teaching, maybe we'll say, sir, even playing, right? Sports, if you're talking about, I've given you some example, right? So whenever we talk about personal consideration, it means we are trying to say that the party himself or the person himself has to perform, correct? Okay, so now the question comes, wherever the personal consideration is involved, can it be done by the legal heir? Can it be done by agent? And the answer is no, correct? Okay, next question, what is counter offer? Okay, what is counter offer? Counter offer is nothing but conditional acceptance, right? Conditional acceptance. Qualified acceptance also we can say. Qualified acceptance. Meaning if I have given an offer to sell my bike for 10,000 and the other person to whom offer has been given says that I am ready to buy the bike but at rupees 8,000. So that means he has given a counter offer. He has given conditional acceptance. Conditional acceptance is not a valid acceptance, right? So in this case, what happens? The counter offer puts an end to the original offer, correct? Right. Right. So what did we say? The counter offer, this counter offer brings an end, right? Brings an end to the original offer, right? Then next one is invitation to offer. So what is invitation to offer? Inviting offers, right? It is nothing but inviting offers, or you can also say invitation to receive offers. Invitation to receive offers. So if you remember the examples which we have taken, like we said, newspaper advertisement is given wherein the person says, I would like to let's say sell something. That means he is giving an invitation to offer, whereby the other person who comes forward and says, yes, I am ready to buy at so and so price, and then this person has to give acceptance, right? Or maybe prospectus, we said, prospectus with respect to the companies when you have to invest, right? They issue prospectus, so this also acts as invitation to offer. Or maybe prospectus issued by educational institution like school and college also, we said. Or maybe a showroom, we said, where the goods are kept in display. Like that, we have discussed some examples, correct? Then legal representative. So we said legal representative is nothing but the representative of a deceased, right? Normally when we talk about a deceased person, right, succession takes place, and therein the legal heirs becomes the successors. Out of those several successors, maybe one of them will be the representative, so he will be representing the deceased before the third parties, correct? So is it necessary that the legal heir only should become the legal representative? Normally we'll say yes, normally the legal heir only becomes a legal representative. Maybe exception can be when the legal heir is incompetent, then some other person may be appointed as a legal representative. Then coming to the next one, that is offeree in case of general offer. Offeree in case of general offer. I hope you remember, the person who comes forward and acceptance and gives acceptance. So the person who gives acceptance is considered as nothing but offeree in case of general offer, correct? Because general offer is offered to world at large. So whoever comes forward and gives his acceptance, that person is considered as offeree, right? Next, coming to cross offer. Cross offer means nothing but, I hope you remember, identical offer. Identical offer given to each other in ignorance of each other's offer, right? So I have given some offer to, let's say, Sumed, and Sumed also has given identical offer to me, and he is not aware about my offer, I am not aware of his offer. So when I gave an offer, I was not aware that he is also giving some same identical offer. Same way, he was not aware while giving offer that I am giving an identical offer. So our offers cross during the transmission, right? During the transit, it gets crossed. So that's where we call them as what? Cross offer. So identical offer given in ignorance, of each other's offer, right? Next, then who's a promiser? Obviously you'll say, sir, offerer is promiser and the offeree is promisee. Yes, but this will happen only after acceptance, only after acceptance. That means offerer after acceptance can be called as promiser, or offeree after acceptance can be called as promisee. Before that we don't call them, right? And if you remember, section number 2 clause C defines this term promiser and promisee, right? What is an open offer? Open offer is a continuing offer or standing offer. That means it is kept open for a particular time or kept open till acceptance is given. So the offer which is open till what? Open till acceptance is given, or open till a specified time, right? Open till a specified time can be called as open offer, right? Next, is it possible that acceptance can be given by silence? No. I hope you remember, there can't be a pressure put on that offeree to give acceptance. So the offerer, while giving the offer, cannot say that if offeree remains silent, then it will be presumed as acceptance, right? This is not possible, right? So acceptance by silence, no. Then what is reasonable? I hope you remember, we said reasonable means depends upon facts and circumstances, right? Facts and circumstances of the case. So what is reasonable in one situation may be not reasonable in another situation, or what is reasonable to one person may not be reasonable for another person. It all depends on facts and circumstances of each of the case, right? Acha, when do we go for reasonable? We go for reasonable when specified is not there. So first we always try to go for the specified or the prescribed one. If this is not there or this is not working, that is where we go for reasonable, right? Next, answer to a question, can it be called as an offer? Answer to a question, can it be called as an offer? No, it does not result in offer. Correct? It does not result in offer. Next, what is revocation? If you can recall, revocation of offer we were saying, so that is nothing but what? Withdrawal, right? Withdrawal of offer, right, is revocation of offer. So whenever we say revocation, it means withdrawal of offer, withdrawal of acceptance also can be there. Today, as you know, we'll have to talk about it. So this way, the meaning of revocation. I hope you are able to recall these things, right? Then let us quickly recall even the section numbers which we have talked about, right? Section number 1 is title, extent and commencement date. Title, you know, the Indian Contract Act 1872. Extent is the geographical one, which is nothing but applies to whole of India. Then commencement date is 1st of September 1872. Correct? 1st of September 1872. Next, section 2 covers definitions, as you know, right? So all these clauses covers definitions, and clause A covers definition of offer. Clause B, right? See, and it is very easy to remember. The contract starts with offer, right? The first thing which has to be there is offer in the contract, and in alphabets, first thing has to be what? A. So 2A is offer, and then after A, obviously B has to come, and after offer, obviously acceptance has to come. So 2 clause B is acceptance, as well as, you know, when offer and acceptance is there, there is promise. So 2 clause B covers even the definition of promise. Then 2 clause C, as just now we said, the term promiser and promisee is defined in 2 clause C. 2 clause E, right? I am only taking those clauses which we have covered, so that's why I have not written 2 clause D. 2 clause E, agreement. 2 clause G, if you remember, we said void agreement, right? Void agreement is in 2 clause G. Whereas if I talk about 2 clause J, that is void contract. And what is the difference between void contract and void agreement? Void agreement meaning void from the very beginning, that is void ab initio. Whereas void contract, when we say, it is void from the beginning or maybe void from the later stage also. So it is not enforceable or it ceases to be enforceable. Next, 2 clause H is the definition of contract. 2 clause I is voidable contract, right? Definition of voidable contract, which means what? Maybe the aggrieved party can decide to make it a valid contract or void contract. So the option is with the aggrieved party. Aggrieved party meaning what? Party who has suffered, right? So 2 clause H is definition of contract, 2 clause I is voidable contract. Then section 6 also we have discussed, which is lapse of offer, right? The different ways of lapse of offer. Then 7 also we have discussed. Maybe I have not told you what is 7, but 7 is nothing but that counter offer, right? Conditional acceptance is not a valid acceptance, right? Qualified acceptance is not valid. So it should be absolute. It should be unconditional. The acceptance should be unconditional. The acceptance should be absolute is what is covered in section number 7. Then 8, I have told you, if you remember, general offer is what is given in section number 8. Then section number 9 is about implied or express contract, right? Implied or express contract, express offer, right? Implied or express contract or offer is given in section number 9. Then section 10, how can we forget? Conditions of enforceability. Conditions of what? Enforceability. Or you can also say it is nothing but essential elements of a valid contract, right? Essential elements of a valid contract, that is given in section number 10. Then section 3, 4 and 5 is what we need to complete, so that we can say we have completed the topic offer and acceptance, right? So section 3, if you remember, I have told you, is nothing but about communication. Communication of what? Communication of offer, acceptance and also revocation, right? Then section number 4 is about what? Completion of that communication. Completion of communication of offer, acceptance and revocation. Okay. Completion of communication of offer, acceptance and revocation. And then section 5, as you know, is nothing but revocation. Revocation of what? Offer and acceptance, right? That is before what time the offer can be revoked or before what time the acceptance can be revoked, can be studied from section number 5. So let us quickly start off, right? Now we have done the revision, we have done a recap of what we have discussed in our previous sessions. So now we are good to start with what? Section number 3, correct? Section number 3. So yes guys, section 3 is about, as I said, I'm sorry, just a minute. Yeah, so it's about communication of offer. Okay. Now, or rather I can say communication, because as you know, communication I can say of offer, or communication can be of acceptance, or communication can be of revocation also, right? So communication of all these three: offer, acceptance and revocation. How do you think offer can be communicated? How do you think same way the acceptance can be communicated, and obviously the revocation can be communicated? So that's answered in section number 3. And as we have discussed the other day, if you remember in our previous session, we said it can be by way of express means or implied means, right? If you are able to recall that, that's wonderful. I can say all this put together, it can be express, right? Whether it is offer, whether it is acceptance, or whether it is communication of revocation. All these three we can say can be express or can be implied. And when I say express, it may be oral, it may be written. When we say express, it can be oral as well as it can be written, right? When it comes to implied, so it can be act, right? It can be act or it can be omission, right? It can be by act, that is do something and communicate, or not to do something. When you don't do something also, it communicates, right? So maybe it can be implied, So it implied means what? By act or maybe by omission. So where is this given? This is given in section number 3, communication of offer, acceptance and revocation, right? Offer, acceptance and revocation, which can be by express means or implied means. Express, it can be oral, it can be written, right? Express are of two types, oral and written, whereas implied, when we say, again two types, act and omission. Okay, sir. Next. Now let's talk about section number 4, right, which is completion. Completion of what? Of communication. Completion of communication. Sir, completion of communication of what? Of offer, of acceptance, or of revocation. And I hope you remember that I've told you, when face to face I'm giving some offer. Suppose now, let's say Akanksha is standing in front of me, right? Face to face we are there, and I give an offer. I say that I would like to, or I am offering my house to be sold. Okay, Akanksha, would you be interested in buying my house? Right, I give an offer to Akanksha face to face. Then when does this offer gets communicated? When can we say that the completion of communication is taking place? You will say, sir, immediately, because face to face you're there, then obviously it gets communicated immediately. But let's say when I make a call, we are not, meeting, we don't, interact face to face, but then let's say I call her and I tell her that I want to sell my house, so would you be interested in buying it? And let's say in this case, if I ask you, then you will say, sir, maybe immediately, but if I say immediately, it can't happen, because when I say something, it has to be reached by the other person. It has to be reached to the other person, right? It has to be reached to the other person. The other person should get to know about it, right? Which may take time, especially when I say there's a defective telephone line. I say hello, hello, and then she's like, I'm not able to hear you, it's not audible, right? So then obviously you'll say, sir, maybe you have communicated, but that particular offer is not communicated properly, because it is not it didn't get completed. The communication didn't get completed. So it's very important to understand that what we are going to discuss now, this completion of communication, is not about face to face, but when I'm talking about telephone, when I'm talking about telegram, when I'm talking about email, maybe when I'm talking about post, then this will be useful. Okay, then this will be useful. So keep this in mind. Then later on, anyways, we'll take an example to understand this. Okay, I'll take an example as well. So first, now let's talk about offer. Completion of communication of offer. Then we'll talk about completion of communication of acceptance. And in the next page, I'll take completion of communication of revocation. Okay. So now, first thing, completion of communication of offer with respect to offerer and with respect to offeree. Okay, with respect to offerer and with respect to offeree. Completion of communication with respect to completion of communication of offer. Okay, completion of communication of offer. With respect to offerer we want to understand, and with respect to offeree also we want to understand. So what do they say? The law says, whether it is with respect to offerer or whether it is with respect to offeree, this completion of communication will happen when the letter of offer reaches the offeree. When the letter of offer reaches the offeree, or maybe we can say when the offer comes to the knowledge of offeree. Okay. So whenever letter of offer is posted, let's say whenever letter of offer is sent by a telegram, okay, the completion of communication of offer will take place only when the letter of offer reaches the offeree, or we can say when the offer comes to the knowledge of offeree. So it's very important that it should come to the knowledge of offeree. Then we can say completion of communication of offer is taking place, whether it is with respect to offerer or whether it is with respect to offeree. Okay, whether it is with respect to offerer or whether it is with respect to offeree. Right, sir. Okay, so if you have not noted, just in case, what did I write here? When the letter of offer, if you're not able to follow, reaches the offeree, or when the offer comes to the knowledge of offeree, that is where we can say completion of communication takes place. Completion of communication of what? Of offer takes place with respect to offerer as well as offeree. Okay. Then coming to completion of communication of acceptance. What? Completion of communication of acceptance. Then again you might say, with respect to whom? With respect to offerer and with respect to offeree. With respect to offerer and with respect to offeree. Or here I can use the word acceptor also. Why I can use the word acceptor? Because already acceptance given. When we say acceptance given, so obviously we can use the term acceptor also, correct? Promiser, promisee terms also we can use, but let's stick to the same thing, offerer and offeree. Instead of offeree, if you want, you can say acceptor as well. Okay, so now here again you might say, sir, is it going to be the same way for both the parties? Is it going to be the same way? And the answer is no. Here it is slightly different. When it comes to completion of communication of acceptance with respect to offerer, okay, when can we say the communication of acceptance is complete? Okay, let's say the offeree received the offer, and then the offeree is okay with that offer, so is accepting it and sending that particular acceptance to the offerer. So when can the offerer says, or when can we say that the communication of that particular acceptance is complete for offerer? That's the point. Okay, so what law says is, when the letter of acceptance, when the letter of acceptance is posted to whom? Posted to the offerer, right? Who's posting it? Offeree, that is acceptor is posting. No, the acceptor is giving acceptance, so is posting it, and posting it for whom? Posting it to whom? Posting it to offerer. Okay, okay, sir. Right, now the question comes, how about the other party? When can that other party say that communication of acceptance is complete for me? Okay, so they say when, here it's slightly different, when the letter of acceptance reaches whom? Reaches the offerer. When the letter of acceptance reaches the offerer, or if we want to say the other way, we can say when offerer comes to the, I can say when acceptance comes to the knowledge of offerer that's the time when we can say the communication of acceptance is complete for whom? For offeree. Okay, sir, we're able to understand something, but not that properly. No problem. Wait for the example. You will understand. Don't have to worry. Let's read once again. What did we write? We have said communication of acceptance can be completed, and we can say it is complete with respect to offerer when the letter of acceptance is posted to the offerer. Posted by whom? Offeree. See, it's simple, no? I have given an offer to Akanksha by post. So first question comes, when can I say that the communication of offer gets complete? When Akanksha gets that particular letter of offer. Same way, if we say, sir, for Akanksha, when will the completion of offer takes place? When will the completion of communication of offer take place? When the letter of offer reaches her. So when the letter of offer reaches Akanksha, both Akanksha and me can say that the communication of offer gets complete. Understand? However, now after reading that particular offer, when Akanksha decides that she will give the acceptance because she is okay with the offer, so she decides to give the acceptance. In that case, what will happen? In this case, we'll have to understand, as far as I am concerned, okay, I am the offerer. When can I say communication of acceptance is complete? When she posts the letter to me. When she is posting the letter to me. When she has posted the letter to me, that's the moment where communication of acceptance is complete for me, or as with respect to me. Okay. Now, when it comes to Akanksha, when can we say the communication of acceptance is complete with respect to her? Whenever that letter of acceptance which she has posted comes to my knowledge. So if you understand, just practically what happens is, see, she gave an acceptance, she posted the acceptance, and now I want to revoke the offer. She'll say, what nonsense, I've already posted the acceptance, right? I want to withdraw my offer. She'll say, what is happening, boss? Right? I have already posted my acceptance, now you're coming forward. So don't you think what she's trying to say is communication of acceptance is complete for you because I have posted the letter of acceptance, right? And then please understand from her point of view, when can we say that it's complete for her? Now it reached me, okay? I have received that letter of acceptance. Then don't you think I will say now in case you want to revoke the acceptance, it's not possible because already I have received the letter of acceptance. So once offer is accepted, it becomes a contract, and now if you're denying, then that results in breach of contract. Just understand. So in this case, when we are talking about the acceptor, the offeree can say, the acceptor can say the communication of acceptance is complete only when the letter of acceptance reaches the offerer. Okay, reaches the offerer. That means the acceptance comes to the knowledge of offerer. That's the time where communication is complete for offering. Okay, sir? Right. Next. What is the next one? Next one is completion, as you know, of communication of what? As I've told you, we'll talk about revocation. Completion of communication of revocation. This is also coming from section 4 only. We are talking about section 4. So question comes, who is going to revoke? Is it that offerer is going to revoke, or is it that the offeree is going to revoke? Sir, anyone can revoke. Offerer can revoke his offer, or who knows, the offeree is revoking his or her acceptance. So we don't know exactly who's revoking. So we will not write here offerer or acceptor, because we know that either of the parties can revoke their respective offer or acceptance. So what we'll write here is, or how we'll study here is, we'll say person who makes revocation. Person who makes revocation. And the other side will write person to whom revocation is sent. Revocation is sent. Understand? So person who makes revocation can be offerer if offer is revoked, and acceptor if acceptance is revoked. Same way, when I talk about person to whom revocation is sent, can be offeree if offer is revoked, and can be offerer if acceptance is revoked, right? So when this revocation is being done, that has to be communicated. And when can we say that the communication of revocation is complete? So now, with respect to the person who makes revocation, it will be completed. The communication of revocation will be communicated when the person who revokes puts the revocation into transmission. That means in simple language I can say when the letter of revocation is posted. When the letter of revocation is posted, that means it goes into the transmission, right? So that's the time when he can say, see boss, I have posted the revocation. So for me, the completion of communication of revocation takes place now. Then coming to the other person, can you guess when will the communication of revocation going to be completed for the person to whom revocation is sent? Obviously when he receives it, when it comes to the knowledge of that other person, right? So here we can write when it comes to the, instead of writing to the, we can say when it comes to his knowledge. His knowledge meaning the person to whom revocation is sent, right? So person who makes revocation, person to whom revocation is sent. Person to whom revocation is sent. So when it comes to person who makes revocation, he can say completion of communication of revocation takes place as and when I put that particular revocation into transmission. That means when the letter of revocation is posted. And the other person to whom the revocation is sent, he can say that this is completed only when the revocation comes to my knowledge, right? When it comes to his knowledge. So that's the point where we can say the completion of communication of revocation takes place with respect to person to whom revocation is sent. Okay, sir. So this is section number 4. Now let me talk about section number 5. Okay, then I'll take an example. If you're not able to follow this properly, don't worry. We're going to study this with the help of an example as well. First, I'm just sharing what is written in the provisions. Then once we complete that, we'll take an example to understand this. So if you're able to follow, well and good. Otherwise, just wait. Next one is what? Next one is about time limit. Time limit for what? For revocation. Okay, time limit for revocation. Time limit for what? Time limit for revocation. Okay. So you'll say, sir, revocation of what? Obviously, there can be two. Revocation of offer or revocation of acceptance. Revocation of offer or revocation of acceptance. Okay? Yes, sir. So now, I'm sorry. Acceptance. So now you just tell me, if at all the offer has to be revoked, when can it be revoked? Achha, who will revoke the offer? Offerer, isn't it? Who will revoke the offer? Offerer. So till what time or before what time he can revoke? You say, sir, before obviously the completion of communication of acceptance happens to him. Just understand, in the previous example itself I said, or while explaining that I have told you that if at all the offerer wants to revoke his offer, it should be done before the acceptance, completion of communication of acceptance takes place for him, no? And when can that take place for him? When the letter of acceptance is posted by the offeree. So if at all he wants to revoke his offer, he has to revoke it before the letter of acceptance is posted. Correct? So I can write here, it can be done before what? Before completion of communication of what? Acceptance. Before completion of communication of acceptance. With respect to whom? With respect to offerer. With respect to offerer. Or in simple words we can say before letter of acceptance is put in course of transmission. Put in course of transmission. that is before the letter of acceptance is posted. Posted by whom? Obviously the acceptor. Okay, sir. Now what about acceptance? Before what time acceptance can be revoked, right? So obviously we'll say before, can you guess? Before completion of communication of acceptance with respect to, yeah, correct, acceptor, with respect to, maybe we can say offeree. So if at all acceptor wants to revoke his acceptance, he can do it. He can do it, right? He can do it before what? Before the letter of acceptance reaches the offerer. So that means before completion of communication of acceptance with respect to acceptor. Okay? Or I'll write it for you. Before what? Letter of acceptance reaches whom? Reaches the offerer. That means before acceptance comes to the knowledge, right? Or you can write like this also, before acceptance comes to the knowledge of whom? Knowledge of offerer, right? Because he's sending, the offeree is sending his acceptance to offerer. So before offerer comes to know about the acceptance should be revoked. Are you getting it? Before this, it has to be done. Okay, sir, we have understood something, but now if I take an example, you'll understand it much better. So let's take an example. I hope you have noted it down, right? If you have not noted, please note it. Right? So I hope all of you are noting it down. What is it we're talking about? We're talking about time limit for revocation. Offer can be revoked or acceptance can be revoked. Offer can be revoked before completion of communication of acceptance with respect to offerer. Offerer wants to revoke, so before the completion of communication of acceptance happens for him, offer should be revoked. And acceptance will be revoked by whom? Acceptor. So in that case, before completion of communication of the acceptance with respect to that acceptor happens, the acceptance can be revoked. Okay. Now, as I said, let's take an example to understand this. Okay. Let's take some hypothetical dates. Let's say 1st of January. Okay. You can take any year, maybe 2020. Letter of offer is posted. Okay. Letter of offer is posted. Next, 2nd of January, or rather I'll put 3rd of January. Okay, I'm not writing again the year. 3rd of January, let's say that letter of offer is reached, has been received by whom? The offeree. Okay, sir. Then what happens? The offeree goes through that particular letter of offer. Okay. And let's say on 6th of January, the offeree is convinced about that offer, so has prepared the letter of acceptance. So letter of acceptance is posted. On which date? On 6th of January. Okay, sir. Then let's say on 9th of January, that letter of acceptance reaches whom? Obviously the offerer. The offerer. Okay. Let's keep this 4 dates first. So now, please answer, what happens on this first date? When the letter of offer is posted, do you think anything happens? Do you think I can say communication of offer gets completed on this date with respect to offerer, with respect to offeree? Can I say anything here? The answer is no, nothing. Okay, so we'll not write anything there. Now next, on 3rd of January, do you think anything happens when the letter of offer is received by the offeree? right? The offeree has received the letter of offer, so that means the offer comes to the knowledge of offeree, correct? So in this case, if you can understand, completion of communication of offer takes place, right? If you go back to section number 4, where we have talked about completion of communication of offer with respect to offerer, with respect to offeree. When can it get completed? When letter of offer reaches the offeree, right? So going by that, okay, I can say whether it is with respect to offerer or whether it is with respect to offeree, it will get complete. So completion of communication of offer with respect to offerer and with respect to offeree takes place on 3rd of January. That is the date where the letter of offer reaches the offeree. Okay, completion of communication of offer takes place on this date. Okay, sir. Now, when does the completion of communication of acceptance going to take place? And you know, when it comes to acceptance, for both the parties, it is different, correct? Okay. So now what happens here? When the letter of acceptance is posted by whom? Offeree will post no letter of acceptance. So it is put into course of transmission or letter of acceptance is posted. So on this date, what will happen? On this date, completion of communication of acceptance will happen. Completion of communication of acceptance will happen. With respect to whom? With respect to offerer. Because now letter of acceptance is posted. So for offerer, things are done. Now, if he wants to do something, it will not be maybe possible, right? So please understand. Then 9th of January, when the letter of acceptance reaches the offerer, letter of acceptance is posted by offeree, no? So it will reach whom? Offerer. So on this date, what will happen? Completion of communication of acceptance with respect to offeree. So this we have answered using which particular section? Section number 4. Okay, section number 3, there is no need to give example, as you have understood that maybe it can be given. The offer, acceptance, revocation can be given by express means or maybe by implied means, that is by act or maybe by omission, by words, oral or written, right? So that I am not taking, that's a simple one, right? And that gets covered also indirectly in the examples which we are taking. Okay, now let us understand. Okay, let's try to mix something here, let's try to insert something here, and that is obviously revocation. So let's assume first that the offerer wants to revoke his offer. Okay, in this example, if I just change few things or just insert something, then please try to answer. If the offerer decides to revoke his offer, when do you think he can revoke his offer? Okay, please try to answer. When do you think the offerer can revoke his offer? Sir, that is answered in section number 5. Yes, that's answered in section number 5. So if you can recall, section number 5 said, if offer has to be revoked, it can be revoked before the completion of communication of acceptance with respect to offerer. Right? Offerer wants to revoke, so before completion of communication of acceptance with respect to offerer. Right? Or in this example, you just understand. 6th of January, I said letter of acceptance is posted. And we said this completion of communication of acceptance with respect to offerer taking place on this date. So obviously before this, right, before this 6th only, right, that means till 5th of January, there was a chance, right, before 6th. So that means that is 5th of January, there was a chance for what? Revocation of offer. Right, this was the last date, that 5th of January, before which actually revocation of offer should have taken place. Correct? Because otherwise what will happen? 6th of January, acceptance will be, communication of acceptance will be completed for offerer. So before that only he has to do it. Okay, sir. Then if I say, if at all, let us say that acceptance has to be revoked. That means the offerer is not revoking his offer, but the acceptor wants to revoke his acceptance. So when can that be done? So as we said, if the acceptor wants to, acceptor meaning offeree, wants to revoke his acceptance, it has to be done before completion of communication of acceptance with respect to offeree. Correct? So before this particular date only it should happen. Before this particular 9th, that means 8th of January, you can say this is the last date for what? Revocation of acceptance. 9th of January, once it reaches, then the offerer will say, now I have received already, right? So how can you revoke the acceptance? So the offeree has to keep in mind that before this happens only, the letter of acceptance should, the revocation should be done, if at all he wants to revoke the acceptance. Understood, guys? So these things which we have talked about is coming from section number 4, right? And these two which I have talked about is coming from section number 5. Okay, sir. Now, one more thing. Now, in this example only, when I say that offer has been revoked, let's talk about only one scenario. Offer has been revoked. Till what time or before which date we said offer can be revoked? Yeah, before we said 5th of January, right? Offer has to be revoked. And if acceptance is to be revoked, it has to be before 8th of January. So now I am only talking about offer being revoked. Let's say offer being revoked. Letter of offer was posted on 1st of January. Letter of offer reaches when? Letter of offer reaches on 3rd of January. So, and letter of acceptance gets posted on 6th of January. So now what I am saying is offer is revoked. So let's say 1st of January is posted and 2nd of January revocation of offer is posted. Revocation of offer. 1st of January he thought, okay, I'll give an offer, but 2nd of January he said, array, unnecessarily I've given an offer, let me revoke that offer. So he has posted the revocation of offer. Okay, and then let's say this particular revocation of offer reaches on 4th of January. So what happens? Revocation of offer reaches whom? Obviously the other party. And who's the other party? Offeree, right? Offeree. So now tell me, what will happen on 2nd of January? What will happen on 2nd of January? Revocation of offer is posted. Revocation of offer is posted. So is anything going to happen? Yes, sir. Completion of communication of revocation. Completion of communication of revocation. Okay, completion of communication of revocation for whom? Revocation of what? Obviously revocation of offer. If you want to write that also you can write completion of communication of revocation of offer. With respect to whom? With respect to the person who's revoking. That means here in this case it is offerer. And what will happen on 4th of January? Completion of communication of revocation of offer. With respect to whom? The other party to whom the revocation is sent. That means offeree. That means what? Offeree. Understand, my dear friends? So if at all offer has to be revoked, it has to be revoked before 6th of January in this example. Okay, so that's where I said that letter of offer is revoked on 2nd of January. That is, it is posted on 2nd of January and reaches on 4th of January. So 4th of January we can say completion of communication of revocation of offer happens for whom? Offeree. But on 2nd of January it will happen for whom? Offerer. Okay, this is coming out from where? Again section number 4 only. Completion of communication of offer, acceptance, revocation comes from section 4 only. Okay, sir. Next, sir, you took the example of offer being revoked, but can we say that, let's say offer is not revoked. Okay, let's say offer is not revoked but acceptance is revoked. So if at all acceptance has to be revoked, it has to be revoked before what time? As we said, before 9th of January it has to be revoked. 6th of January that letter of acceptance was posted. Am I right? 6th of January the letter of acceptance was posted and 9th of January it reaches. So if at all acceptance has to be revoked, it has to be revoked before 9th of January. So let us say 6th January that fellow posted the letter of acceptance and 7th of January. What happens is revocation of acceptance is posted. Okay, and let's say 8th of January revocation of acceptance reaches. Acceptance is revoked, posted, acceptance is posted on 6th of January, but after that realize, array, I've done a blunder, right? I want to revoke my acceptance. Okay, then post that. So 7th of January revocation of acceptance is posted and 8th of January that revocation of acceptance reaches. So posted by whom? obviously posted by the offeree because he has given the acceptance, and reaches whom? Reaches the offerer, correct? The other party. So now question comes, what will happen on 7th? Completion of, communication of, revocation of acceptance with respect to whom? Okay, this is the date when revocation is posted. So this completion of communication of revocation of acceptance is with respect to whom? For whom? The person who is sending revocation, and in this case, as we said, revocation is sent by offeree. Now what will happen on 8th of January? Revocation is has reached, okay, is received by the other party. Who's the other party? Offerer. So we'll say completion of, communication of, revocation of acceptance will take place with respect to the other party, that is offerer. That is offerer. Okay, so 8th of January, the offerer will receive the revocation of acceptance, and as we said, 9th of January, acceptance will be received by him. So which one will be valid? Obviously, revocation he has received first. Revocation has come to his knowledge first. So revocation will be valid. That means the contract doesn't get formed here. The contract doesn't get formed here. Okay. Now you might say, sir, why don't we change this scenario to some extent? Okay. You said 8th of January, revocation of acceptance is received. But is it not possible that 9th of January, instead of 8th of January, let's say 9th of January, revocation of acceptance reaches whom? Offerer. Now you'll say, sir, but 9th of January, what happened? In our example, 9th of January, what happened? If you just observe, 9th of January, letter of acceptance was received by the offerer. So when I'm taking this example, 9th of January, revocation of acceptance is also received. What does that imply? If you understand, see, on same date, acceptance is also received by offerer, and revocation of acceptance is also received by offerer. So question comes, which one will be valid? And the answer for this is whichever. Okay, which is valid? Whichever comes to the knowledge of offerer is valid. So that means if he has received the letter of acceptance in the morning and revocation in the afternoon, then acceptance he gets to know first. No, acceptance is valid. That means contract comes into existence. That is, contract is formed. But if you say, sir, revocation he has received in the morning and acceptance he has received in the afternoon, in that case what will happen? Revocation will be valid because revocation has been received by him in the morning. So in that case, what? Revocation is going to be valid. That means no contract comes into existence. You say, sir, no, both the letters were received in the afternoon. Postman came with both the letters together. Both he gave simultaneously. Then what? Whichever he opens first. And normally we expect that anyone would open shorter mode. Meaning if in post also, let's say telegram is used, because normally people going for revocation will use shorter mode. Okay, which will take lesser time. So a telegram will be sent. So person will normally open telegram because that shows urgency and all, right? So normally we'll presume what is going to be opened first or going to come to the knowledge of the offerer first, revocation, and thereby no contract will come into place. So you understand? So if 9th of January, letter of acceptance as well as revocation of acceptance is received by the offerer, then what will happen here? Then we said whichever comes to the knowledge of the offerer, that is going to be valid. So if he has opened letter of acceptance first, then contract comes into place. If he has opened revocation of acceptance first, then obviously revocation is valid, thereby no contract comes into place. And if you say both of it has been received at the same time, then we presume normally that revocation is going to come to the knowledge of offerer first, and thereby no contract. Okay, so whichever comes to the knowledge of offerer is valid. So if we say acceptance comes first, okay, first acceptance, then this will imply contract will be formed, right? Contract will be formed. And if we say no, the other option is first revocation. Okay, first revocation comes to the knowledge, then in that case there is no contract going to be formed. No contract comes into existence. Understand, guys? All of you have followed this, right? If you have understood, let me take another example. Okay, if you have not written, you may note down this quickly. Then I will be taking up another example. Okay, and another example wherein you will have to try answering. So with again some dates I will take, you just need to answer this part. Yes. So let's take another example. Let's say 3rd of May. 3rd of May, offer is posted. Let's say 7th of May, offer reaches. Right, reaches whom? The offeree. Let's say 10th of May, acceptance is posted. And let's say 14th of May, acceptance is received. Received by whom? Offerer, right? So first let's try to answer this. What happens on 3rd of May? So the 3rd of May, offer is posted. So completion of communication of offer with respect to offerer, correct? And the answer is no. As I've told you, nothing happens when the offer is posted. No completion will take place on this particular day. My dear friends, 7th of May, when we say that offer is received by the offeree, that is where we can say completion of communication of offer with respect to offerer as well as with respect to offeree will take place. Understand? Both, for both this will be the date when we can say completion takes place. Good. If you have answered this way, then it is absolutely right. Next, what will happen when the letter of acceptance is posted? You say, sir, completion of communication of acceptance with respect to whom? With respect to whom? Offerer, not offeree. Huh? If you're thinking of offeree, it's wrong. When letter of acceptance is posted, that means offerer becomes bound by it. Okay. Next, completion of communication of acceptance for whom? Obviously, offeree. Happens on 14th of May. Correct. We have answered this using which particular section? Tell me that. Yes, section number 4. Now let's make a change here. As you know, let's say offerer wants to revoke his offer. Let's say offerer wants to revoke his offer. So let's assume that on 4th of May, revocation of offer is posted. Okay, revocation of offer is posted on 4th of May. So 3rd of May he has posted the offer, but 4th of May he is revoking his offer. So he is posting the offer on which date? 4th of May. Can he do that? Can he do that? Yes, sir. Offer can be revoked. If you recall section 5, offer can be revoked before completion of communication of acceptance with respect to offerer. So before 10th, offer can be revoked. Offer can be revoked. Don't forget, guys. Huh? And as far as acceptance is concerned, before which date acceptance can be revoked? Before 14. So acceptance here. Then this one. This before 14th of May, acceptance can be revoked. Okay. So easily 4th of May he can. And let's say 8th of May, revocation of offer reaches. Reaches whom? Reaches the offeree. So now tell me, will anything happen on 4th of May? Yes, sir. Here it will happen. What will happen? Completion of communication of revocation of offer with respect to whom? The party who's sending it. That means offerer. Okay. Next. Will anything happen on 8th of May? Yes, sir. What is that? Completion of communication of revocation of offer with respect to whom? The other party, that is the party to whom revocation is sent, that means offeree. Are you able to follow? Good. Next. So this was one scenario where offer is revoked, but let's assume that offer is not revoked, offer is intact. Maybe the offeree wants to revoke his acceptance. So before which date it can be done? 14th of May. So let's assume 11th of May the acceptance, okay, revocation of acceptance is posted. 10th he posted the acceptance. Now 11th he is posting the revocation. And he has used shorter means, means or mode here, that is telegram he has used. So that's why it's reaching quite faster than letter of acceptance. So let's say 13th of May, revocation of acceptance reaches. So what happens on 11th? What happens on 13th? 11th, what happens is completion of communication of revocation of acceptance with respect to whom? The person who's sending that revocation. So that means it is offeree. And what will happen here? Completion of communication of revocation of acceptance, okay, for whom? The other party, that is offerer. Okay, now tell me, will there be a contract in place? Obviously no. Obviously no. Contract will come into place only when the completion of communication acceptance takes place with respect to offeree also, but that completion of communication of acceptance will not take place, because before that only revocation of acceptance has got, the completion of communication of revocation of acceptance has got completed, right? Good. And if I just bring a twist here, some change here, saying that instead of 13th, let's say this is also on 14th. So both letter of acceptance also reaches the offerer on 14th and letter of revocation also reaches the offerer on 14th. Then what will happen? Then, as we said, whichever comes to the knowledge of offerer first will be valid. Whichever he opens first will be valid. And normally we presume the shorter one, that's where revocation is what is going to be value. That's our presumption. That's what we assume. And thereby the contract doesn't come into place. Understood, guys? So this is section 3, section number 4 and section number 5. Okay. So now I hope you're clear with it. Let's try to read from our book as well. Yes, guys. So I hope all of you are with me. Communication of offer and acceptance. When people talk face to face, the message is communicated immediately, isn't it? Face to face means immediately. But when parties are at a distance to each other, different modes of communication like letter, okay, when they are distance to each other, then different modes of communication like letter, telegram, fax, telephone, email, etc. may be used to communicate. In the case of telephone or fax, etc., it is presumed that there is instantaneous communication, so there is no scope for revocation. Means immediately communication might take place, so there is no scope for revocation, correct? But, okay, no scope for revocation in this case, because instantaneous communication, that is immediate communication. But while communicating, if the equipment goes out of order, okay, goes out of order, or some other disturbance occurs, okay, some other disturbance occurs due to which the message is not conveyed properly, the communication is not treated as complete. Am I right? Next. Thus, where a contract is made through telephone, the contract is not complete till acceptance of the offer by the offeree is clearly heard and understood by the offerer. Where the acceptance is given by instantaneous means of communication, the contract is formed at the place where the acceptance is received. Where the acceptance is received. So if, let's say, offer is given from Mumbai and let's say the acceptance is given from Chennai. So acceptance from Chennai will reach Mumbai. So we can say the contract comes into existence where? Mumbai. Understand? Wherever the acceptance, place where acceptance is received. If you say, no sir, both the parties are from Mumbai only, then there's no problem. The problem or the issue comes when we are talking about different parties from different cities. So whenever acceptance is received at a particular place, acceptance received here in Hyderabad, so we can say contract is formed in Hyderabad. Acceptance received in Mumbai, so Mumbai, right? When the parties negotiate a contract through mail, that is post, or by telegram, there is considerable time lag between putting the message in the course of transmission, right? Time lag means what? Time gap. Between, lag means gap or delay, right? So lag between putting the message in the course of transmission by one party and its receipt by the other party. There's a gap between this, no? You put the letter into transmission and the other person has to receive. There's a gap in these two. In such cases, it is very important to decide the precise moment when communication is completed, right? So that's where we have these type of sections is what we are trying to bring. So this is an introduction to this section 3, 4 and 5. So now, section 3, communication of offer or acceptance. An offer or acceptance can be communicated by words spoken or written, right? By words may be spoken or written. When we say words, that means you're talking about express, right? You're talking about express, and this spoken or written means oral or written, or maybe by conduct, that is act or omission, This is what is written in 3. Now let's talk about 4. Completion of communication of offer. The communication of an offer is complete when it comes to the knowledge of the person to whom it is made. And to whom it is made? Offeree, right? When an offer is made by post, its communication will be complete when the letter containing the offer reaches the offeree. The term reaching of letter means when the message of letter reaches and comes to the knowledge of offeree. Reaches and also comes to the knowledge of offeree is what we mean by reaching of letter. Example, A offers by letter to sell his house to B at a certain price. The letter is posted on 25th of December. It reaches B on 27th December. Here, the communication of offer is complete when B receives the letter, that is 27th of December. So reaching of letter of offer is important to say the completion of communication of offer takes place. Next one, completion of communication of acceptance. This also comes from section 4. For the offerer, the communication of acceptance is complete when it is put into course of transmission to him. Thus, the offerer becomes bound by the acceptance as soon as the letter of acceptance is posted, right? So offerer becomes bound. That means if at all he wants to revoke, he cannot revoke, right, after this. And for the acceptor, the communication of acceptance is complete when it comes to the knowledge of the offerer. Thus, the acceptor becomes bound by his acceptance, right? Bound by his acceptance only when it comes to the knowledge of the offerer. Right? When it comes to the knowledge of the offerer, the acceptor also is bound. So there's no question of revoking the acceptance. That means the contract definitely comes into place then. Example, A offers to sell his house to B for 15 lakhs by a letter dated 25th of December. The letter reaches B on 27th of December. B accepts the offer by a letter posted on 28th of December. This letter of acceptance reaches A on 30th of December. So letter of acceptance posted on 28th and letter of acceptance reaches on 30th of December. So now what happens? Here for A, the communication of acceptance is complete when the letter of acceptance is posted on 28th of December. And for B, obviously 30th of December when the letter of acceptance is received by A. Correct? Now, so this was section 4. With respect to completion of communication. But completion of communication of revocation is also there. Don't worry. Now revocation of offer and acceptance. That is, they want to revoke. They want to just not go ahead with the offer or acceptance. So revocation of offer first. An offer may be revoked at any time before the communication, right? Before the communication of acceptance is complete for the offer. Okay, with respect to offer, we are saying when can it be revoked? Before communication of acceptance is complete for the offerer, but not afterwards. An offerer may cancel his offer by a speedier mode. See, by a speedier mode of communication, which will reach before the acceptor posts his acceptance. Example, A offers by letter to sell his house to B. B accepts the offer by a letter. A may revoke his offer at any time before B posts his letter of acceptance and not afterwards. Another example. A offered by a letter to sell his car to B for rupees 1 lakh. The letter was posted on 15th March, which reached B on 17th March. B accepted the offer and posted his letter of acceptance. On 20th of March. Here A becomes bound by the offer on 20th March. So in this case, the offer could be revoked by A at any time before 20th of March. Right? Right. Next, section 5, continuation of section 5, revocation of acceptance. An acceptance may be revoked at any time before the communication of acceptance is complete for the acceptor, but not afterwards. An acceptor may cancel his acceptance by a speedier mode of communication, right? He can also do that. Example, A offers by a letter to sell his house to B. B accepts the offer by a letter. B may revoke his acceptance at any time, right? At any time before his letter of acceptance reaches A and not afterwards. Another example, A offered by a letter to sell his car to B for rupees 1 lakh. The letter was posted on 15th of March, which reached B on 17th of March. B accepted the offer and posted his letter of acceptance on 20th March, which reached A on 22nd of March. Here B becomes bound by his acceptance on 22nd because offerer gets to know about acceptance on 22nd of March. In this case, the acceptance could be revoked at any time before 22nd of March. Understand, guys? Next, now comes completion of communication of revocation, which will come from where? Section 4. 5 is about time limit for revocation. If you want to revoke, before what time you should revoke, right? Now, section 4, completion of communication of revocation. Offer acceptance we have covered, so we are talking about revocation now. The revocation of an offer or acceptance is effective if it is communicated, right? Revocation is effective only when it is communicated. For the person who makes the revocation, the communication of revocation is complete when it is put into course of transmission to the person to whom it is made. And for the person to whom the revocation is made, the communication of revocation is complete when it comes to his knowledge, right? Communication of revocation is complete when it comes to his knowledge, Example, A offered by a letter to sell his car to B for rupees 95,000, right? 1 minute. Right. Example, A offered by a letter to sell his car to B for rupees 95,000. The letter was posted on 10th of January, which reached B on 13th of January. A revoked his offer by telegram on 14th of January, which reached B on 15th of January. For A, the revocation is complete when the telegram is dispatched, that is on 14th of January. But for B, it is complete when B receives the telegram, that is on 15th of January. Here, if B dispatched his acceptance by telegram on 13th itself, then A will be bound by his offer because revocation of offer is effective only if it is made before the acceptor dispatches his acceptance. Right? Are you able to understand, guys? See, when we say that offer and acceptance will make a contract, same way, please understand when is revocation complete? Not just if you send, the other party also should receive it. So it's important that both should happen. That is where revocation becomes effective. Okay. Then now note this important thing here. Rescission, that is rescinding of a voidable contract, is communicated and revoked in the same manner as the communication of revocation of offer. If there is a voidable contract, voidable contract means there's an option of making it valid or void, right? So rescission of a voidable contract, that means you want to make a void contract as void, is communicated and revoked in the same manner as the communication of revocation of offer. Understand? So something has to be done to make the contract, make the voidable contract void, right? So how will you do it? Like you revoke the offer, same way you'll have to do it. How do you revoke the offer? Obviously, again, you will say, sir, express or implied way. And when can we do that revocation of offer? Obviously, before the letter of acceptance is posted. So before that particular, again, letter of acceptance is posted, it can be. And how will you do that? You will post it, okay, and the other person has to receive it. So same way you can make the voidable contract void. Okay, if you're not able to understand, don't worry, this particular point will come again. I will explain you. Just concentrate now on 3, 4, 5. If this is not understandable, it's okay, I will explain later. Okay, later when we go to some other topic like void agreements and all, we'll talk about it. Now some case here also I have given, just try to solve that. June 2nd, X mails offer to Y, means post or email, whatever you want to say, right? But email will be received at the same time, so let's not presume email, let's say post only. So June 2nd, X mails offers to Y. Anything happens here? No. June 3rd, Y receives offer at noon. June 3rd, Y receives offer at noon. So here what happens? Completion of communication of offer with respect to whom? With respect to X and Y both, because we are talking about completion of communication of offer. Next, June 3rd, Y mails letter of rejection at 5 p.m. Oh, Y is not happy with the offer, he is not okay, so he is rejected also. June 4th, Y changes his mind at 10 a.m. and mailed a letter of acceptance which is received by X on June 6th. Okay, so he is changing his mind on 4th, and what is happening? June 6th, June 6th, the letter of acceptance is being received by X. Okay, June 5th, X receives letter of rejection. Oh, so 4th he has changed his mind and letter of acceptance is posted. June 5th, letter of rejection which was mailed on 3rd of June is received. 6th of June, letter of acceptance. Oh, so what is received by X first? Rejection letter. So if rejection letter has been received first, then will the contract come into place? The answer is no. So that's where the result I have written here, no contract. Rejection has reached the offerer before the acceptance. Understand, my dear friends? Okay, next. Another case. June 2nd, X mails offer to Y. June 3rd, okay, Y receives offer at noon. June 3rd, Y mails letter of rejection at 5 p.m. June 4th, Y changes his mind and at 10 a.m. calls X on the telephone, accepts the offer, telling X to disregard his letter of rejection. 4th itself, he called up and told, please don't bother about my rejection letter which you will be receiving anytime. Okay, I'm giving my acceptance now over phone. Now June 5th, X receives letter of rejection. So can we say now a contract is formed? Yes sir, because 4th itself acceptance is given, right? Completion of communication of acceptance has happened there. So if 5th the letter of rejection is received, rejection will not be valid, acceptance will be valid, so contract gets formed. So a contract was formed at 10 a.m. on June 4th when Y gave X actual notice of his acceptance. Y's letter of rejection effective until June 5th, by which time already the contract was formed. Is it clear? Great. Now, simultaneous delivery of letter of acceptance and telegram containing revocation of acceptance. So, as I've told you, on 6th, both is received by the offerer, acceptance as well as revocation of acceptance. Then whichever he opens first will be valid, correct? And normally we presume that the speedier mode, the shorter mode, the speedier mode will be read first. So let's see this. In case the letter of acceptance and telegram containing revocation of acceptance are delivered to the proposer, that is offerer, at the same time, the formation of contract depends upon the fact which one is read first by the offerer. The contract shall be said to have been formed if the letter of acceptance is read first. If the telegram containing revocation of acceptance is read first, then there is no contract, because revocation read first, so obviously no contract. Generally it is presumed that a man of ordinary prudence, okay, man of ordinary prudence, that means a man of ordinary prudence means how you take care of yourself, same will take care of others. Okay, let's say this pen is of Naman. Now I have borrowed this pen, and if I say that I will take care of this pen as I take care of my own pen, that means I am a man of prudence. Prudent principle you might have applied in your accounting as well. So man of ordinary prudence will Okay, a rational person, in short I can say a rational person will read the telegram first, hence the revocation will be effective. Okay, because generally the revocation is sent by a speedier mode, that is telegram, so that will be read first, and thereby as we were saying that contract will not come into existence. Understood, guys? Now something written here, communication of performance. So communication of performance is mandatory unless the term of offer includes a term that mere performance will constitute acceptance. Meaning what? See, simply you perform, it may not be enough. After performing, you need to communicate as well. Unless and until already the offer stated, the terms of the offer stated that you just need to perform, you don't need to communicate. You perform, that's enough. You don't have to communicate. It happens, no, sometimes, right? That the person says that after communicating, please inform. After doing that homework, you just let me know. Or it might be like, you do the homework, that's it. Don't need to inform us. It happens, right? So that way we are saying communication of performance is required, is mandatory unless and until the term says that it is not required. Only performance is what is required, no communication required. Okay, sir. So now what is written at the end of the topic here? I have no special talent. I am only passionately curious. Albert Einstein. So if you are curious about something, right, then probably you can achieve that, and maybe you don't have talent also, you will be able to develop that talent. So now